everyone, and welcome to EnTrust expert interviews. Today with me, I have our standardization partner from Red Alert Labs, Roland Atoui. And my name is Egle Joneliunaite. I'm from Future Needs. We are a dissemination and communication partner in the project. So welcome, Roland. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Egle. It's a pleasure really to be here, and I'm excited to share more about our project.
What's your involvement in general with EU projects?
So for probably a few words on myself. So Roland Atoui, I'm based in Paris, and I am myself a managing director at Red Alert Labs. I have cybersecurity technical background myself, and involved in many activities around on the national and the European level towards driving cybersecurity initiatives that allows to help the different stakeholders build better and more resilient solutions, products, processes, services. Yeah, I also have interactions with the standards organization and regulators, also to set up somehow the requirements for regulations in the EU. Red Alert Labs is been on a mission to bring trust to the connected world. So as you know, we are more and more surrounded by connected things, more or less intelligent, and unfortunately, up to today, we still have like more than half of these vulnerable to the most common cyber attacks, and there's somehow a lack of trust, or maybe lack of way to provide trust to allow us to sort of adopt these technologies. So we at Red Alert Labs, we address this on a horizontal way, so meaning cross sectors, from the consumer to industrial to more like medical, automotive, industry. So it all depends by the end on the risks that are behind it, and how actually we adjust somehow the level of security required for each market need, each operational use. And that's actually what brings us somehow to this project. So in a sense where from our business, we provide two approaches. So we provide services as being a laboratory that is capable of testing and certifying your solutions. Like we give you a level of security, a little bit like your Nutri-Score for your food. So we give it somehow for your I don't know, smart camera or smart device that actually tells you at least you know, you're not going to be observed by night, or or nobody's listening to you. And on the other side, we developed a platform which is it's more like an approach that simplifies how you test to evaluate those solutions, and how you connect the buyers with the manufacturers, okay, in a way that allows the buyers to take accurate decision, more in a B2B approach for the moment. And so we bring all this expertise in the EnTrust project at a stage where there is a regulation which is it's called the medical device regulation in the EU. It's a little bit like extending the FDA in the worldwide or American one, in a sense where it defines some general requirements to how to secure medical devices. But there were like only guidance that as of today gives you some way for as a manufacturer, for example, to put countermeasures by design during manufacturing of medical devices. We took the advantage of having in the consortium all the stakeholders that could be involved, from the end users to the manufacturers, to be able to find a better approach, or the best approach somehow, to provide trust to these medical devices by technical means, but not only technical means, also social means and legal means. So, and that's actually, which means defining requirements that are adaptable, more, better things to have real objective results, and adaptable somehow to the European other regulations, based on standards that are recognized. And at the end of the day, our goal as Red Alert Labs and EnTrust is sort of to exploit this to be able to deliver or extend our platform, which is called CyberPass, to become the reference of evaluating medical devices, the security for medical devices. Okay, for you to be able to refer to it anytime you want to buy a medical device, or even to develop actually one.
What is the main purpose of EnTrust?
The EnTrust project, for those actually who are not so familiar with this, is aimed to ensure sort of end-to-end trust management for the medical devices. Is expected somehow to enable and have an entire medical ecosystem that is more resilient to the different type of threats that could be featured by cyber attacks, for example. And for that, we need to envision a robust framework to allow an operational assurance and trustworthiness in this digital system that is deployed in the medical and healthcare ecosystems. So that's basically our mission, is somehow to enhance the security, enhance the reliability, and also ensure compliance of the medical devices and the system in using advanced approaches of certification of assurance services. If you want to have like more knowledge about the how the operational assurance and trustworthiness is provided, and the fact that the idea is to guarantee that the device performs its intended functions in a secure way, in a reliable way, and under, of course, expected and unexpected conditions. And that's where actually brings us to sometimes looking into cyber incidents. So in the medical domain, it involves that you ensure that every component, software, hardware, adheres somehow to those specific security standards and requirements. And the goal behind it is to ensure that the patient data, for example, remains confidential, that actually the device integrity stays as is somehow, to ensure that it functions correctly, and that any potential failure are sort of mitigated.
Why is it important for you to be part of the project itself, like maybe personally or as a company?
It is actually a very important project, in the sense that it addresses the state of the art of problems that actually we're trying to address in the medical domain. So for us, it's an opportunity to drive innovation, because that's one of the things that actually we strive to do on a daily basis. And what better than actually being surrounded by also innovative companies and researchers, experts in the domain that allows us somehow to explore and understand better the problems and the needs in terms, of course, of cybersecurity from our perspectives. So yeah, EnTrust, I think, from for Red Alert Labs is the adequate ecosystem to allow us to explore the medical domain cybersecurity issues and to adapt our, of course, solutions, services to address these problems, whether with our enhancing our platform technologies, but also our services, so we can target, of course, the EU market.
Can you elaborate a bit on certification in the healthcare domain, certification of the medical devices?
Of course. First, certification is also, I would say, not obvious to everybody. So I would remind probably that certification in the sense of cybersecurity applies to allow providing a better assurance, better trust in the scope of certification that we are envisioning. So for example, if we are certifying a product, which is hardware and software, the idea behind the certificate is to give you a sense of attestation, let's say, that this product is meeting certain set of security requirements that were either claimed by the vendor or expected by the market, and they were actually assessed in the right expectation of a standard, for example, or a scheme, to be able to prove that they are meeting, or this product is meeting those requirements. So certification in EnTrust, for example, is based, of course, on not just actually the technical means that we are trying to enhance, because the technical means are, for example, setting security requirements for every medical device to, I don't know, enhance its authentication process, access controls. It could be like related to I know, source code reviewing or architecture reviewing of every devices to allow is, a better approach to see and forecast if there are any risks and reduce those risks by design. But there are other aspects of the certification which involve usually a third party, and that is expected to provide what we call the social means, so things that are recognized based on standards, let's say credibility, it provides transparency, and those aspects are coupled also when there is a regulation to give like more commitment. So certification is somehow an approach that involves those three stakeholders: a certification body, a laboratory, and a vendor, to by the end provide a sense of trust.
Okay, and in terms of the EnTrust project, can you maybe give a few examples, practical examples?
Absolutely. So in terms of EnTrust project, so the medical devices are in subject to what we call the medical device regulations in the EU, which entails actually that every medical device, every manufacturer has to drive security by design principles when they develop those medical devices. The certification processes that we tried actually to push within EnTrust are expected to help the manufacturers prove that they are actually compliant with this regulation. So what we did is actually we took the regulation as being, let's say, the reference, and we've done a top-down approach that actually allowed us to based on standards that exist, based on guidelines that actually the industry has been working on, to compare them first and to identify any potential gaps that are expected, that actually were the EnTrust project is expected to cover. So we started with that, and the idea was to create that framework of certification. And indeed, today we have like a very interesting baseline that we already also shared with the on the European level through different activities like standardization activities, and even with the Commission to be able to be adopted. We were capable of sharing our knowledge and finally we elaborated on a white paper that provided guidelines, recommendations, indeed for the regulators, intended not just for the regulators, of course, or for any user or stakeholders, but yeah, that's one of the ways that we see that already at this stage of the projects, we provided some very good feedback on the European level.
Would it be possible for you to share some of the findings, some interesting maybe facts?
Absolutely, yeah, sure. So there's definitely an elaborated white paper that we can go and look into it more in depth, but the findings were mostly related to the, for example, from our perspective, to the fact that the medical devices are IoT, mostly IoT, for example, devices that are having their constraints in terms of technology, but also commercial constraints sometimes that do not allows us to be able to implement the high security level as is expected. So one of the things that we highlighted is the fact that there should be an approach which is dynamic, that allows to certify the devices and have sort of continuous approach to recertify them, and not incur a lot of cost, effort, time, which could be very impacting the business. So that's one of the, let's say, generic highlighted aspect that we sort of enforce, and of course it has triggered some recommendations on enhancing requirements, improving, for example, the approach of maintenance of the certification, but also like giving a more layered assurance levels that could be meeting more or less actually the constraints that are expected, or taking into account the constraints of those devices.
So who will benefit from this research?
The EnTrust research and outcomes are expected to be, to put it more simply, expected really to look to help the manufacturers build better security, but also to prove it in a much efficient way. And so they're, of course, meeting the market requirements, which means actually economically also being able to follow up with the market requirements while meeting the regulations. On the other side, the goal and the intention of providing all this is to provide a trusted and secure and resilient environment, medical environment. So meaning that all those stakeholders involved as users or buyers, I'm talking about hospitals, could be actually the I don't know, the ambulances which are connected, different actually stakeholders that are involved by using those medical devices in their ecosystem. They are expected to manage the risks better when they actually have a better trusted solutions that are actually they are deploying. Okay, so the EnTrust projects provide them with that enhanced level of trust and means to be able to reduce their risk, manage their risk appropriately, while also meeting the regulations, right? So, which is a very important criteria for them.
What's next? What can we expect?
So at this level of project, I think, the research projects in the EU are expected usually to meet some TRL that are, gives at least pilots, proof of concept that actually will allow us to make sure that whatever we have done is of course innovative as proven, but also working properly and actually having KPIs that are met. So within that project, of course, all those KPIs are expected to be met by the end of the projects. And definitely it is just a starting point for probably another era where we would be able to explore the results in a more complex ecosystem, more complex use cases. So I'll give you, for example, I would say today we will be capable, for example, with EnTrust project to prove that there are some I don't know insulin devices that will be actually secure when they are actually properly deployed, and that will be, if you follow the requirements from the EnTrust project, you'd be able to prove that and make sure that you have, let's say, the tools and the means to do that. On the next level, we would expect that we increase the level of capabilities in terms of how you deploy securely those solutions and how to potentially automate using AI, I would expect at some point, to better manage on the fly the operational level of trust. Okay, so that's actually the challenge that I think we'll need to explore at next stage, is to ensure that level of trust during the whole life cycle. And that's, would involve not just the medical device itself, but also all its ecosystem and the stakeholders that are involved.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to mention or highlight?
I think it's important to understand that actually the EnTrust project is not there only to provide a technical innovation. I mean, it's really a whole consortium that is focusing also on the social aspects, the means that actually would provide privacy, trust, confidentiality in our healthcare ecosystem. So really take the outcome of the projects as being a full explorative approach to you to enhance your capabilities and interact with each of our members, because that's actually how you could be able to let's say exploit our deliverables and outcomes the best. And so yeah, we're happy to help as well if you need to get in touch.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your for sharing everything. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you, Egle. It's a pleasure.